sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way. Tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be.
Greetings and welcome to all of you who are listening and watching us tonight. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor. And as you know, you are listening and watching a Sip of Inspirations podcast. I like to find and talk to people that I think do interesting things, especially in the African-American community. And tonight I have a great guest. But before we get started, we've got to do some housekeeping. I have an announcement from the sponsor, Resource Industrial Supply Equipment. When you need a supply company to rise to your needs, call Resource Industrial Supply and Equipment. I want to thank them for sponsoring all the episodes that they have sponsored so far. That has been a true blessing to us. And go to my website, champagneconnection.com. Go to the merchandise. We've got some cool merchandise. I always promise I'm going to wear some, but I promise maybe next time I'll actually have on one of my Life is Too Short to Drink drink champagne t-shirts for you. Also, if you're watching this on Facebook, Empower DR. Like me, please, there. If you're at Empowerment Doctor, that's me too, except you can't see that there. So, and like that page too, but be sure to swing over and like Empowerment DR. So now that the housekeeping is done, I want to introduce to you Xperience Jay. She's Crystal Judkins, also known as Xperience Jay, and she is the co-founder of Black Audio Dramas Exist. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about her, but those of you who know me well know that there's a specific genre that I just love, right? Well, I happen to be in the hair salon waiting to have a nail repaired, as you all know. And the lady that was getting her nails done by my wonderful personal care technician, Edria Brown, be sure to like her on Facebook. She is a Black nail tech, and she does a wonderful job. So you need an appointment, I'm telling you. Besides, you never know what you're going to learn in that shop. And we were listening to Tomorrow's Seduction, right? And I was hooked. I mean, I went to my phone, I was listening to it. I got home, I had to finish the whole series. And I thought that that was really, really cool. And I liked it so well that there's a lipstick in there that that Tomorrow wears. And I won't spill it, I won't spill it or spoil it for you, but the lipstick is a sangria lipstick, right? By Tom Ford. I went out and I had to buy some. So there we go. Crystal, thank you for joining us. So tell the audience who you are, what you do, and you might want to let them know who Tomorrow is now since I sort of spilled it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a multi-hyphenate creative and curator from Alexandria, Virginia. I'm the co-founder of Black Audio Dramas Exist, like you already said, where I promote creatively provocative audio dramas written, produced, and starring Black creatives. I'm passionately driven by my love of the arts and my innate desire to really amplify Black voices. I've written audio dramas, most notably is Past Due Audio series, which I also star in, and then Kiss the Audio series, which is what you listen to, which is based off of my book, Tomorrow's Seduction, Kiss of Death. I do sound design. I've done a few other series where I just do the sound design and set the scene. And most recently, I've established Shhh, Jus Listen Media, where I actually create audio dramas and just express my love of sound by producing innovative audio experiences. That's me in a nutshell. And all things creative, I love and I enjoy doing.
And they're fantastic things. So I want you guys to go out there and search them out and actually give yourself the luxury of having enjoyed that. So what was your first project?
Well, I've been writing books since I was about 7 years old. I had a series called The Bologna Family. Uh, and I used construction paper and anything else I could find around the house to make a cover for it. And my mom kept those for years. Actually, I have them now. And so I always, when I do talks with children and stuff like that, I always show that, like, this is where I started out. But my first official project that I like published and made money from was a book of poetry called Unbarred My Neo Hip Hop Soul. Um, it's my spin on poetry. I always thought that I had like a very unique spin to poetry. I love hip hop, and so it has those elements and things like that. I might actually re-release it because I just had some issues with publishing. I didn't know what I was doing. It was a mess, but yeah.
I want to go back to the Bologna series. That's like when you were 7?
Seven.
7. Gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was the plot? What was the storyline?
I don't really remember all the way. I did read through it, and like the gist of it, the main character was Tony Bologna. And I only remember that because my big brother, his name is Tony. So I kind of based it off of him. And he would just go through these adventures. And like there were different lunch meats. I don't know why I don't know why or when I decided. Well, I'm a big girl, so I love meats. So maybe that's just why, but it was just like, I don't know. It was cheese in there. It was like other dairy. I've always been really creative and outside of the box creative. So an idea that I might have might be like, why would you write that? But for me, I'm like, oh, this is great. So after I wrote the first one, I just remember being like, because I would always, like the people in my class and things like that, I always had the gift of people would want to know what I was doing next. Like, what did Tony Bologna do today, or things like that. So I would always like, that just inspired me to go write the next one and the next one. And before I know it, I had like all these different color construction papers with the different titles on it. And it was great. Yeah.
Oh God, that is fantastic.
I should have, if I would have remembered, I would have like brought it over so I can show you, but I didn't even think about it. So
I love that at 7. Gosh. So where do you get your ideas from now? Is there any place that you find some particular inspiration from, or just sort of what's going on in life?
Honestly, I'm literally inspired by anything, any and everything, from music to conversations I might have to personal experiences. It really just depends. I also hear messages, so I might hear a word or a concept will pop in my head, like something like that will spark an entire idea. So I can literally be sitting here and you might say one word, and I'm like, oh wait, let me write. I have my pen right here just in case. Let me write that down. Like it happens that easy.
So what inspired you to write dramas that were focused on African Americans, on Black dramas?
Okay, well, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know how many people are familiar with this, but like if you're into audio dramas and you just happen to be a person of color or Black, you probably know about this. So I heard Issa Rae's Fruit for the first time. A friend of mine actually sent it to me, and I had heard audio dramas before. I didn't necessarily know like the name of them or what they were called, but I had heard them. But Fruit starred a Black man who sounded very familiar to what I'm used to hearing. It literally changed like the scope of my whole life. And I didn't even know it at that moment, but it changed my whole life. I knew from that moment, like I wanted to create my own. The moment I heard it, like the very moment like the beat dropped and he started talking, I was like, oh, I gotta do this. I have to do this.
Just from the very first thing.
When he started talking and he sounded like somebody who lived down the street, like it wasn't like, this person who I couldn't connect with or had no prior knowledge. And, we live in a diverse world for the most part. So you encounter all different types of people. And but like when it comes to the media and television, you're used to seeing people who don't look like you. That's really a thing of maybe the last few years. getting these abundance of stories where you can really relate. Like representation really matters. People use that term lightly, but it really, really does. When I heard it, I was like, wait, we do this? We do this? Oh man, like, I was all in after that.
So that's how I felt when I ran into to tomorrow, right? I thought, we do this? Oh, this is so
See?
cool. This is so cool. We do this, right?
Right. Exactly that. And so even though you might not be able to relate to her from the standpoint of a serial killer, you're like, oh wait, like wait a minute, she getting her nails done and she's doing things that I do on the regular, and she, those type of things. And so it's very relatable. And although, her other profession might be a little far-fetched, or what one would consider far-fetched, just to be able to say, like, we can do anything. Oh, just to say we could do anything,
Mhm.
I think that's exciting.
Oh, I do too. I do follow some of the other authors, James Patterson and Patricia Cornwell and Jeffrey Deaver. So, I got a closet full of serial killers. So when I heard this one, I says, oh yeah, I got to do this one. This is pretty cool. And it was like her day was so normal is what I
Mhm.
really liked about it. It was so normal, where these other guys sort of make you think that, oh God, you can just recognize serial killers because they do all this stuff. But your
You
character was
don't.
just a normal character who who had this issue, right?
Right. No, absolutely. And that's actually funny you mentioned that, because you never really think about that. Usually when you see stories of typical serial killers, like everything they do throughout the day or throughout their journey, you're like, oh, this person is crazy. Like, it. Like it's very, you can see it. It's not like a shock or anything when they
Right.
start killing people. Like they set it up that way. But I wanted it to be like, no, she's about to go chill with her homegirls, and then later she gonna meet up with a guy, they gonna kick it, and she gonna end up killing them. Like, and then she goes back, gets ready for school, like for class in the morning. Yeah,
Yes, she does. Like nothing
she
ever
does.
happened. Yeah.
Like nothing ever happened.
Nothing ever happened, right? It's like, okay, cool. Right. So when you're writing Black dramas, any of your Black dramas, what's your goal for that particular genre? What sort of things or messages are you wanting to share to people that look like us or the world? Because I know anyone who starts writing at 7 has a message for the world.
Yeah. Yes. I really want Black audio dramas exist to be a place where people can not only discover these amazing stories created by Black creators, but also those Black creators who maybe want to create this type of content, but don't know where to start, don't have a community around them. I want us to be a place of inspiration, resources, and
Mhm.
amazing stories. Because I remember when I started, I didn't have that community. Like I had to go out and seek that and like kind of, get help bringing all of us together. But I didn't see anybody else who looked like me who was doing this. And so like I literally was on Google and like Googling Black audio dramas and like going to befriend them on Instagram and things like that until we kind of created our own community. But that didn't exist. That was the whole purpose of Black audio dramas exist, because I didn't know that they existed. So I want it to be a place where they don't have to go through what I went through. It will be a lot easier. You have this community already set that's willing to uplift you, help promote you, find you the resources, even if we don't have the resources. So that's really that's my goal.
That's fantastic. Has writing and producing dramas changed the way that you see yourself?
Yes. Prior to creating audio dramas, I never saw myself as like a producer. I never used that word at all. I was just a person who had the ability to write and put things together,
Mhm.
I've done productions before, but I never really, I guess I didn't think about it in that way, um, or put it into that perspective. And even like how I create, and then it just this when I saw you this question in general, I was just like, but because it's complex a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like even how I can downplay myself a lot of the time, because imposter syndrome is a real thing, and it becomes so ingrained that you don't even realize you're doing it. So like audio dramas opened me up to a world that I didn't know. Like to even be able to say like, yes, I produce, I can direct, I do those things, and I've been doing those things, but I didn't have a name for it. So it just put it, I guess, put it more of a polished spin on what I do, because I'm just more of a free
Mhm,
creative, and I just create, and I don't need a title, you know what I'm saying? But
mhm.
to know, like I've been in so many like interviews and things like that where people would be like, oh, so you produced this? I'm like, I did what? What did I do? They're like, yeah, you're a producer. Am I? He's like, I did, yeah. But because I never put like those titles to it, but
Mhm.
to be able to stand and say, yes, I'm an audio drama producer, and I'm a writer and those things. So it kind of helped me shift that perspective. Like you really are those things, and don't discount yourself because you didn't do it in the traditional way that other people do it. So yes, that in a nutshell.
Fantastic. So, as you all know, I've got someone out there, and we're looking at social media. So, if you have questions that you want asked, I've got my handy iPad over here, and I'm checking the questions as we go. So, if you see me looking away, it's not that I'm not having a great time. I'm having a wonderful time. I just want to get all the questions asked if I can, and
Don't worry.
because I just think this is so exciting. So, how did you publish your first book, and what was the first book you published?
The first book was Unbarred, my neo hip hop soul, the book of poetry. I
Mhm.
published it through a small publisher, but I had no clue what I was doing. I could have and should have done it myself, but again, I didn't know what I was doing. There was no real promotion on their end, and I'm not going to go into detail, but I didn't do enough research, so I do kind of blame myself on that part. But it's just because like I have been writing for years, and I really wanted to go into um, you know, this new place where I'm like, okay, I've been talking about being an author my entire life. Let me do that. Let me make the move and publish. But I was still young. I didn't know. I just wanted to have something tangible. So it's tangible, but I just wish that I would have taken a little more time. And honestly, I could have done it myself when I was really ready. So yeah.
Okay, so you're probably going to republish that one. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, and what's your favorite book? Whether it's one you wrote or someone else, what's your favorite book?
I enjoy books, so this is hard, but so it changes on how I feel each day, right? When asked. But I always bring up Fly Girl by Omar Tyree or something by Eric Jerome Dickey, because I literally remember taking books off my mom's coffee table and sneaking to read them. Like that was my form of reality TV. And eventually she noticed that I took an interest in them, of course. And as I got older, she, would allow me to read them after she's read them, because she didn't want me to lose her place. So she would let me read it after she was done. And they really shaped the idea that I wanted to be an author or a writer. Like I wrote my first novel when I was in the 10th grade. And again, I took it to school, and so many people loved it and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you wrote this. You should publish this. And even back then, I thought that that concept was foreign. Like, I'm young. I can't be publishing a book, you know? And then you see today, like literally 10-year-olds publishing books. It's so amazing how things have, morphed in that way. But I didn't have those things. But yeah, so it's definitely probably something like Fly Girl. I'm going to go with Fly Girl. Yeah.
Okay, girl. I liked I liked to hear Jerome Dickey too. Yeah, he was my reality TV. Uh, he and a couple others that wrote at that time. It's like,
Yeah.
man, it was like, yeah, they couldn't get a book that I didn't get. It was like those were fun days.
We collected them at my house.
Yep. What was the most difficult part about writing? What's the most difficult part about writing for different characters?
Um, Making sure that everyone is authentic and living in their truth, and that their voices are heard and they're humanized. The more I grow as a creator, I'm seeing just how important that is, and how in the past I may have missed that because I was more focused on the scenes or the storyline and not character development. not that my characters aren't great, but I love dissecting characters now down to their love language. I literally was in a writer's room the other day and I was saying, like, what is this person's love language? And you would think, like, why do you need to know that? But it absolutely matters, because now it helps you be able to sway the way they interact with other people, especially if it's a love story. So yeah.
Do you find that you have pieces of all those characters in your own personality?
Some are totally made up, but a lot of them have a lot of my traits. Yeah.
And do the characters like show up in your, like some people say, oh, they just showed up in my mind. Do they just show up and you know that, how do you meet them?
Yeah, they usually just show up. Now sometimes I'll have the story first. And so it kind of, as I'm building the idea, the character or the main character specifically will probably pop up in my head. And for a while, they're like nameless. I could go a long time without giving them a name. But as I begin to learn them and how they are, then I'm able to say, oh, okay, and add the name in there. And once the name comes, that's when I know and I'm comfortable in this character. Like, I know who you are.
We do have a question. Hold on, I had it up. Okay. Do you find it hard to do male characters versus female characters?
Yes and no. I would say yes, only because, like, yes, when it comes down to sometimes the way they speak, I like to be very authentic. And so, like, the way they say certain things, like, I know what I've heard from guys around me. So especially if it's an audio drama, I'm always telling the voice actor, if this doesn't sound exactly, the way you feel like it should sound, feel free to kind of play around with the line. And so we'll just play around with it until it's right. But I think I do a good job. I think I have a great balance of male characters and female characters. I've definitely gotten better because I spend more time with them now,
Okay.
So yeah.
So some writers say, it's like the characters just sort of walk into your life one day and then all of a sudden. So what's that experience like?
It just, for me, it really depends on, like, the situation or how it happens. A lot of my stories are loosely based on someone already, right?
Okay.
And so I might have the idea, but how do I change them to not make them just this character? Like, I call myself like a Frankenstein because I love to dissect things and then build it together. So I might take something from over here and put it something from over here. And so I've had many times where people was like, oh, I know that's such and such. And then they come back and be like, wait, no, that's somebody else. And I'm like, it's all of them. That's why you don't, you thought you knew because the story sounded familiar, vaguely familiar, but you didn't, because I kind of like pieced them all together. But in general, if it's not based off someone I know, like, literally they do. Like, for me, I see them, you know what I'm saying? And so they become real, and it's a journey to get to know them. Even for the main character of Past Due, Kina, she was loosely based on me. And I had to meet her because I realized she wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? Like, she had some of my attributes, yes, but I took her on a totally different journey than I was on. And so I had to say, okay, I know how I would do this, but how would you do it? Because we're not the same when it comes to X, Y, Z, So how I would respond to something, you wouldn't respond to it that way. So how do I take you on this journey? Like, it feels like you're crazy a little bit while you're writing for me, because you have to, you kind of have to, like, live in this world, that doesn't exist, but it's very real, Yeah.
Yeah, you do hear writers say that they meet their characters, they have conversations with them, and you're in their world, but that world doesn't really exist, but it does.
It does, yeah. Yeah, it's complex.
So, which of your dramas are your favorite, or do you have a favorite?
I don't think I've written my favorite yet, but I will say that I do appreciate past due audio series because um, it's just a lot of it is so personal to who I am. I wrote it at a time where I was going through this early midlife crisis myself, and I was just like, I have all this talent. What do I do with it? You know what I'm saying? And just that battle between having a full-time job and a full-time dream and imposter syndrome and knowing that you have a gift that's supposed to be seen, heard, and felt by somebody and feeling helpless. Like, how do I get this seen by somebody? And just going through all of that. So it's a very personal story for me. So yeah, I would say it's not my favorite, but it's very personal. Yeah.
And where can people hear or follow Past Due?
Past due is literally past due audio series everywhere. Like on IG and Facebook and on Twitter it's past due audio. And it's on all of my projects. You're going to be able to find on most major streaming platforms. I really OD because I want everybody to be able to reach it if they have, like, okay, if you don't have Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts. If you don't have Apple Podcasts, you can go to Pandora. If you don't have so basically, if you type it in, you're going to be able to find it. It's on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I think it's even on YouTube. So you can, yeah.
So they can see it anywhere you see your podcast, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So when you're researching your characters and you're spending time with them, do you write things down or is it all in your memory? How do you handle that?
It really just depends on like how I go about it. Although I am a creature of habit, when it comes to my writing, I have no rhyme or reason. I just go with how things feel. But like for the most part, if I have the basic idea and I might look up an article or a movie or a TV show to see how that was tackled and say, I don't think I should tackle it like this. I think I should, tackle it like that. Or so I get inspiration from various mediums, but I also I might talk to somebody and say, well, what do you think about this? Or different things like that. I do a lot of Googling to try to, I know that sounds so taboo in this day and age, but like everybody Googles now. So yeah, I'll Google, but I'll go down the rabbit hole with Googling. Like, I don't want to just surface Google. Like, I need to really get into the nuts and crannies, and wherever that takes me from there, I'll go there with that.
So if you could meet your characters right now, fully clothed, what would you say to them?
Well, I wouldn't have much to say to tomorrow, honestly, because I wouldn't want to say the wrong thing because I want to keep my life. She's a firecracker in that way. But I guess I would tell her that, like, perfection doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? But I would try to find a nice way to break it to her. For Kina, I tell her to keep going, and it all pays off in the end. What you're doing is not in vain. So yeah.
Those are great messages to send. Those are great messages to send. So we know we talked about characters that you relate to, but it sounds like you relate to all of them. And that's pretty cool. So
in some kind of way, yeah.
So is there a character that you haven't shared with us yet, that you haven't shared with the world yet?
Oh, not that I haven't shared with the world. I have a bunch of characters that I haven't shared with the world yet.
Okay.
Because I'm writing so much and things like that. But I guess I can switch this question a little bit to one that I might not have shared with you, but I also wrote a children's book called Onyx McFly Saves the Day. And that was very important to me. I was in education for over 13 years, and I just realized at the time there were no books really of children for Black children, that they could really relate to. And even in present day, you see,
Right.
you see an emergence of that. But even on TV, you see Dora, who's Hispanic, and then you see Doc McStuffins, who's Black, but the representation is still not as good as it should be. And so I wanted to create a character that they could relate to. And
Mhm.
it's been a journey. Like, that really opened me up to, like, going to schools and doing presentations and things like that, and to see like how closely little Black girls relate to the character, because she has two puffballs, and she's a superhero, and it's just like, it's it's just great. Like, I remember one Halloween, I got pictures from like several people, and they were posting like their children in Onyx McFly get up. I don't sell any get up, so that means you guys, their parents really like went all out to go buy things that look like Onyx, and I just thought that was so special. So that character, Onyx McFly, is very, very special to me. People ask me all the time, like, when are you going to put out another Onyx book? I really want to take it to the next level and do an animated series, but that is expensive. So I am doing these other projects because I really want that to be something that happens.
Mhm.
Like, I want her to be on TV and in those households so that they can grow up. They can grow up with Onyx. So that is one of my goals, and so that's a character that I really am close to Onyx.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So, can we expect a sequel to Tomorrow's Seduction Kiss of Death?
You're not gonna like this answer. Likely not, but only because I'm so in love with audio series, and writing a book right now is not what I want to be doing. I even have a book that I started, like a memoir I kind of started when my dad passed, and it
Mhm.
like that I just haven't finished. And not because that book, is not going to be great. Like, I really want to finish that because, I feel like sharing my story in regards to my father is really going to help somebody. But it's just, I don't have the passion for that. And I've realized right now, books are not the things I want to be doing. So in a few years, I might get back to books, but season 2 of Kiss is definitely going to happen. So if that is if that
Okay,
is
okay.
that's a fair see, yeah. So I'm definitely going to do season 2 of Kiss, which is based off of the book. But actually, the book 2 has been written for years, and if we even my co-author Warsan and I, if we were gonna do it, we'd probably have to sit down and revamp the entire thing at this point, because so many years have passed. You know, the characters have, they, especially even after the audio drama, Tomorrow has matured and things like that. So we would have to revisit the whole thing. Um, yeah.
Okay, you can't leave me with the image of all these pictures in the car now. Okay, you gotta take me out.
Everybody says that. Well, at least tell me what happened. I'm like, no, I can't tell you what happened because I might slide it into the audio. So
Right.
I can't tell you that. But yeah, people always get mad, and I'm like, I'm just not there right now. I would rather wait until I am at least back in love with the idea of creating a book. Like, I don't want to just write because everybody wants me to write
Right.
book 2, because then it might not even be great. You know how many times I sat down for a sequel, book, and was disappointed because it wasn't as good as the first one? That is the worst ever. That is the worst. And I don't want to do that to people.
Yes, it is the worst. And I'm glad you know that, right? Because we want it to be as exciting in that sequel as it was in the first one. So,
Exactly.
so Tamara is a change from kind of characters that you normally write. So
Mhm.
what inspired you? We went from Onyx McFly saving the day to Tamara. So,
um, Okay, so my co-author Warsan and I actually came up with it collectively. she was telling me something about a dream she had about regarding an incident that happened back in our early high school years with one of our friends. And when she was telling me the dream, like we were cracking up and just laughing about it. And we were like, yeah, why don't we make this a book? This is hilarious. So initially, Tomorrow's Seduction, it wasn't even going to be any seduction or kiss of death. It was just tomorrow, something with tomorrow. And then as we started writing, I was like, something is missing here. What if like we made the main character not just be a horrible friend, but like, what if she killed people? And we were like, oh my God, that's it. And we just took it from there. And we took it from there. It was literally on a whim. There was no rhyme or reason to why we made her a serial killer. But it was like, we knew that we wanted her to be a person who was not as perfect as she portrayed. But we didn't know we were going to take it so far as to not only is she not who she portrays, she killing folks. So we went there, and it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I thought some of the scenes in the book and in the series were pretty cool too. I thought that was pretty cool. So what has been one of your hardest scenes to write in anything?
Actually, it's a script I'm writing now, so I can't discuss too much about it, but it's sci-fi, which I love, by the way. It's definitely stretching my imagination and overall my writing ability. Not to say, I think I trust myself enough to say that if I take my time, I can write anything, right? But it has been hard because it's like, this is not from my experience. You know, I can't just say yesterday I was sitting around with XYZ. Like, this is so outside of my scope, but it's challenging me in this beautiful way. And I really cannot wait to finish it because it's going to be amazing. And people are going to be like, oh man, you really are, you good. You know, you good. And I can't wait to share that. I can't wait to finish that. It's going to be dope. It still has a little bit of my flavor in it, you know, even with sci-fi, I like to bring that, you know, it's still us, you know, but yeah, it's something cool.
Cool. So how do you come up with the different names? Do they tell you what their name is? Do you decide what their name is? And have you ever decided what someone's name is, but then as the character evolved, you had to change your name?
Yep. I definitely have. Sorry, these things keep falling on my ear.
That's okay.
Yes, sometimes they literally kind of reveal themselves, or it might be something. Honestly, now it depends on their backstory. And I've always been a name person. I've literally named like my cousin's kids and my close friends' children. I've always been one of those like, oh, this sounds like this together. Like put that together. Like I've always been that person. So I think naming just has been one of those things that comes naturally to me. But I definitely look at their experiences, and like I said, I've been really doing character development with these characters. So I'll go back to their childhood, even if the story has nothing to do with their childhood, because we all know your childhood shapes who you become and things like that. So I try to find anything like that that really sparks. And I have had characters where I'm like, this is the name, and then I'm like, he doesn't feel like an Andre. We got to change that, you know.
Okay.
It definitely happens. That definitely happens. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So when you're doing the audio dramas, you're recording them. So you write all the parts, or do you have a partner? And then do you ever find that you've got all this great stuff written and you end up recording something totally different because something organically occurred with the characters?
Yes, both. Yes to both. So I typically maneuver as a one-man band. But I told myself that moving forward, I won't do that because I just went through a 1.5 year long creative burnout where I was not, and creative burnout for me was different than writer's block. All the ideas were coming into my mind, but I just didn't have that oomph to finish them. And that is worse, knowing you have all these ideas, but you can't, I don't even, like, I had several pages up on, you know, Celtics and things like that. And it had one word, like I could not write. And it was really hard. So I told myself that I would not continue to do that. So for season 2 of Past Due, I actually was able to hire some writers. And that was like a monumental thing for me. Like even people were like, "You're gonna let somebody else touch your baby?" I'm surprised. Um, and I was surprised, I shocked myself, but I really needed it because honestly, season 2 wouldn't be happening without them. You know, if they did not come in and save the day, essentially, I would not have done it. It was great to have a writer's room and, things like that. Right now, I'm still editing the episodes and things like that for the script, just so it's more cohesive. It sounds like me,
Mhm.
doing that thing just to make sure that everything is right. But that was like really a big thing for me. But yeah, I've been operating uh as a solo artist, and I'm ready for a group. I'm ready for a team. Tag me in, coach, all that good stuff. So moving into 2022, I definitely will be building, and I've met some amazing people in the last few years, and so it's like, come on, we gonna do this. Um, and yes, I have written something that either I scrapped last minute and had to write all over, or even during a session, like I'm like, oh, I like that, keep that. So actually, I just released an audio drama. It's a standalone piece called Santa Baby, and I released it on the 5th of January. It was for uh, like a contest kind of thing, or a collaborative horror holiday challenge. And so this is the first piece that I had, I created outside of my creative, burnout. And so it was really, really important to me and special. And one of the characters, everybody's remote. So one of the characters sent me his lines, and he said something that was not a part of it. He didn't mean, he thought I was just gonna like take it out, He's like, ignore that, I'm sorry, and then got back to, his recording. But it was so funny that I was like, I'm keeping that, and that is gonna be a line. So when people hear it, they probably think that I wrote it in. No, that was him off the cuff. And it had, what he said had nothing to do with the script, but it fit so well, and it was an expletive, but it was the way he said it that just made it hilarious. And I was like, we're keeping that in. And yeah, so things like that happen all the time. And I'm like, I don't know, I like that line, we're keeping it. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Now remind the audience that's listening where they can hear your Black audio series.
Okay, so any of my audio series, like I already told you guys for Past Due,
Right.
Kiss, the audio series, it's the same thing. You can hear it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, uh, Anchor, I, any of those you can hear it. And there's more, there's tons more. You can hear it. Black audio dramas exist. We have a landing page. It's a milkshake page. I don't know if you guys are familiar with milkshake, but it's basically Black audio dramas, BLK audio dramas. And there's a listing of all the Black audio dramas that we found. And if you have some that are not on the list, feel free to send me a message and I will add it to the list. So yeah, eventually we are working towards making it a real like website, where you can go and get those audio dramas and all types of things like that you need to even start your own. But that's coming soon in 2022 and beyond.
If you could invite 3 of your characters for dinner,
Okay.
whom would you invite and why?
Oh, 3 of my characters for dinner. Okay. Um, I'd invite Kina for dinner. I'd just really like to have a conversation with her, just to let her know that, because she was literally me 3 or 4 years ago. And like I said before, like said earlier, your story isn't over. It's actually just beginning and you have no idea. So I would really love to like just sit with her. And even tomorrow, I feel like when she's outside of killing people, she has this humor to her and things like that. So I think we would have a good time. As long as if she had her medicine and she was chilling, we'd be cool. And a third. Mm, let me think.
It doesn't have to be one that you've actually brought to life yet. It could be one that you're thinking about.
Okay, well, I did bring this to life. It's just not out yet, but his name is Satin, and he is very like a smooth talker, but he's very manipulative. But I think the three of them and me in the same room could be an interesting conversation over dinner. I definitely think that would happen.
I don't know if he'd be alive after dinner with tomorrow.
Well, actually, those two might give each other a run for their money because he's a little bit worse than her.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting. She might be visiting him actually. She keep it up. She might be visiting him.
Oh, okay. He better stop. It's a visit from tomorrow. It's not nice. Nothing nice at all.
At all.
So what would you say to kids who are 7 in elementary school or grammar school who want to start writing? What would you say to them?
Just do it. Get started. I had no clue at 7 when I was, putting shoestrings through holes and things like I had no clue what it was going to become. I didn't even my scope, my thought process wasn't even as, that big to say, you know what? Because I was setting the intention then and didn't realize it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I was setting the intention and putting it into place and like guiding those steps without me even realizing. So just get started, you know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to dream big, but you have to live even bigger, So it only takes that one step. I had no clue that Tony Bologna would take me to tomorrow, That's so yeah, just get started. Do it.
So when you decided to do the serial killer piece, did your people think something was wrong? Because I know every time I bought a James Patterson book, it'd be like, do we need to talk to her?
Are you okay? People
you
side
okay?
eye you. Yeah, people definitely side eye. And especially now, it's when it comes to like the horror and things that I've been getting into, just like Santa Baby, there's a serial killer in Santa Baby. And so everybody's like, you have a little thing going. Are you okay? You've been hurting people in the last few days. Are you okay? And I told them simple as this: better on the page than off the page. Let me keep writing. Let me keep writing. Let me keep writing.
Gosh, this has been incredibly exciting. So, is there a piece that you want to do that you haven't started to do yet that you're not sure about, but you want to write about it?
There's always those, I
Uh-huh.
have, like I said, I always have these, like, it'll spark from a word. I have a few, I don't know if they're supposed to be titles, lines. I have those, like, it's a line of notes in my phone. People will probably look at my phone and be like, what does this mean? Some are single words, little excerpts and little phrases. And they just come to me, so I write them down. So yeah, I want to do, and I can say this, I definitely want to do like a time leaping piece or like, with time travel, but not in a traditional way. So I'm just really trying to feel my way through it because again, I have to put my spunk on it. So I don't want it to be the traditional get in a time machine, go back in time. Like I don't want it to be like that. So I'm just really trying to feel my way through it. I know conceptually how I want to go about it, but like just sitting down and piecing it all together. I have not done it yet, but yes, that's probably going to be next.
Oh, that would be so cool. I'm just thinking, oh, if I could time travel, I could go back and get those pair of boots I didn't get that time. About 10 years ago that I still want today.
But then if you get the boots, something as small as you getting boots might change the whole trajectory of your life.
Yes, it would. And that's right. And it's like, and you don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing.
Or a bad thing, because you could come back to this world and you don't know where you live. Like those
right.
Look, you done messed everything up. So,
that's right.
yeah.
Messed everything up. Oh gosh. So where do you go from here? From this point with the group of writers? So do you all finish this? What, I know you've got 1,000 ideas and dreams in your mind. So if you could just have one to materialize suddenly, what would that be?
I want to overall, like right now, this year I've been saying, just write the idea, Crystal, just write it, to say, just get it done. Because if it stays in my mind, who does that help? Nobody, right? So I want to executive produce projects. Like I want to do that, like help see them from beginning to end. So I really want 2022 to be a year where you see my name under executive producer on all types of projects, film, television shows, podcasts. Like I want to do it all. And I don't want to stifle myself by saying I'm just going to stick here. I want to do all of that. I want to create dope stories by Black people. Yeah.
Fantastic. So is there a story currently on television that you'd like to rewrite? I'd say all of them, but that's okay. That's just me.
Currently, no. I actually saw it was on Instagram the other day, and there was I really don't like very many reboots. I feel like if you're gonna reboot, it should be something that maybe didn't get to see the light of day, and for whatever reason, and like reboot that, like help fix that. So there was I don't even remember the name of it, but it had like Martin Lawrence in it and Vanessa Bell Calloway and a few other people that I cannot remember their names right now. But it was a family of wizards and witches, a Black family. And like I have to get the name later because I cannot even remember it. But I saw the little commercial or whatever for it, but it never saw the light of day because it didn't get the green light. And the fact that it even existed, I was like, man, imagine how pivotal it could have been, because it was after the time of like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. But I remember growing up and seeing those shows, like when my grandmother and my babysitters would play them. And then I grew to love them myself. So I would watch it on my own time. But imagine if they were Black characters, and like that probably would have changed my whole world. Like,
oh God, that is fantastic. Yes.
And so like it's been getting a little buzz on the internet recently, and even Ava DuVernay, she put a little face up like she was thinking. I was like, I gotta get in that writer's room. Like I don't know how, but like anybody know her, and if she does it, tell her my name so I can get in that writer's room, because I would love to write that. I would love to write that.
That is incredibly exciting. Yeah, I just imagine if we just had that kind of show to watch, and our kids would think that they could really just
do anything.
Yeah, they could accomplish anything. That would be absolutely fantastic. Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me tonight, but I want to ask you if there's one thing that I didn't ask that you'd like to share with us.
No, I think I got it all in.
Okay.
I can't think of anything. And if I miss something, charge it to my head, not my heart. But I think I got it all in.
Fantastic. Thank you again for joining me. I enjoyed the series. I did listen to the Santa Baby audio drama, so I enjoyed that too. So I thought,
Thank you.
that's Tamara. Is she making an influence over there too? But I enjoyed that, and I'm gonna go back and listen to some of the others. But I just wanted to have an opportunity to let my audience and the people who follow me, who know that you exist and that you're writing some things and about some things we never thought anyone that looked like us was actually writing. So I want to thank you for answering the call to your soul that the universe has made for you to bring these things to. And I know that you're going to continue to do great things. But before we sign off, tell everybody where they can follow you again so that they can keep up with this, because they don't know it yet, but you're going to, Tamara needs some more support, y'all. We're going to have to help her.
On social media, you can find me at Xperience Jay just about anywhere. On Instagram and on Twitter. On Facebook, it's just my government name, Crystal Judkins. You can find me there. If you follow me there, that'll link you pretty much to everything that I'm doing. I also have a website, xshewrites.com. I am starting to revamp it, so I need to do a little housekeeping, but if you still can go there and get access to, a lot of my stuff. So feel free to visit there. I'm on TikTok also for the younger folks, or even some of the older folks, because I've been seeing some people really getting into TikTok. Is great. So I'm on there also as Xperience Jay, and with the X, no E at the beginning, just X. Yeah.
So thank you for joining me again. I am glad that I had an opportunity to do this, opportunity to meet you. It was more exciting for me than you can imagine, especially after having chased down the podcast on Tomorrow's Seduction and figuring out how to order the book, because I had to have the book. So it was great. So thank you. And I want to thank my sponsor again. I want to thank Resource Industrial Supply Equipment. When you need a supply company to rise to your needs, call Resource Industrial Supply Company. As I always say, I want you to do not go gently into that good night. Find a heel worth dying for and take it. Be the person that you have been waiting for. Make today so awesome till yesterday gets jealous, and above all else, do it your way. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor. And as I always say, life is too short to drink cheap champagne. You guys go out, have a great day. Thank you again, Crystal.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Good luck on all your endeavors. I know you're going to do well.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor, and this is the third step in taking control of your finances. That is paying off debt. I want you to list your debts. The next thing is to decide on a debt repayment strategy that you can stick to. A lot of people use the snowball effect, and that's effective also. But search out online the different techniques to help you establish the debt repayment strategy that will work for you. The third thing is once you're out of debt, plan to use that money to help you achieve your financial goals. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor, and remember, dream big. Bye.
Life's too short to drink cheap champagne, so I decided to buy me a better brand to taste with my strawberry